What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today, you are tuned in to another episode of The Rundown. And this is just a little series where I give you the rundown on a bunch of albums, tapes, and songs that have come out in the past little while. Because honestly, every Friday, there's like a good 5 to 10 albums or projects that drop that I would love to review, but I damn sure don't have the time to review them all. Then you got to look at all the songs and singles that drop every week, and it really is hard to keep up with things, especially now that I'm a married man with 2 kids. I mean, if you were with this channel back when I first started, I was a single guy, no kids, had all the time in the world, but you know what? It is what it is. I can only do so much, so thank you to those of you who have been very understanding and are still sticking around. Just wanted to get that out there, but right now, let's talk about this Big Boy album called Boomiverse. I was actually really looking forward to this one. If you're not familiar with Big Boi, he makes up half of Outkast along with Andre 3000, and this is an artist who I think is often underlooked. Of course, Andre is always in the greatest of all time discussion, while Big Boi kind of gets left on the back burner, but he definitely snapped on his fair share of Outkast tracks, and even some of his solo work was dope as well. I especially liked Vicious Lies and Dangerous Rumors, where he was doing a little bit of experimentation and working with Fantagram, and this album actually led into an EP with Fantagram called Big Grams. That was another solo project of his that I thought was good, and of course on Speakerbox he had all kinds of jams on there, and I still come back to that. So he has done pretty well for himself, which had me looking forward to this one, but this one honestly just let me down a little bit. I do appreciate how he's still being versatile with his production choices, but some of these songs just really did not connect with me at all. For example, you got the song Chocolate, which just sounds like this electro Jersey Shore fist pump type of shit. All Night sounds like some music from a car commercial or a Pixar movie, and Freakonomics I almost liked because of the futuristic sound, but overall it just felt a little bit clunky to me and I couldn't get into that track. So there are definitely a lot of moments with the production that I just wasn't vibing with. However, I still think that Big Boi is rapping his ass off on a lot of these tracks, even though there wasn't too much content-wise or bar-wise that blew me away. He just always has that cool flow and nice cadence that he's been known for. So I actually like how he sounds, but it's the beats that really held this one back for me. In spite of that, I still think there are a handful of great tracks here. Of course, we had the single Kill Jill. This one sampled a Vocaloid song, and then you had a nice hook from Jeezy, solid bars from Killer Mike, so I'd say that's one of my favorite tracks. And In the South, or From the South, let me see here, just to make sure, man, I don't want to fuck it up. Yeah, it was called In the South. This one just has some very nice southern fried production with twangy bass and organs, and you're getting some features from Pimp C and Gucci. So I thought those 2 tracks were the best on here, and this album actually worked for me when he kept it simple. But again, some of those production choices I could have done without. So to me, this is a 2.5 out of 5. I was definitely disappointed, not just by the production, but even, you know, that Corrupt feature on this album let me down, because I'm a big fan of him, and usually he snaps, but on the song he was featured on, he really just sounded kind of lazy and not up to snuff. So you know what? You might like this more than me. It does have quite a variety of sounds, so maybe you'll appreciate the experimentation more than I did, but a lot of that shit didn't work for me. Although I will say Mike Jack was kind of fun for what it is. It's not really anything too different or new, but it just has this very fun and danceable feel to it, so it's kind of cool for what it is. But moving on, we are now going to talk about DJ Khaled's album, Grateful, and man, you already know what you're going to get from a DJ Khaled album. You're just going to get a lot of pop rap with auto-crooning, some trappy bangers, and all of this is going to come from some of the biggest names in R&B and hip-hop. So if you like the shit you hear on the radio, you've probably already heard a bunch of these songs. I'm the One, that one from Drake, I forget what it's called, To the Max. Also, there's Wild Thoughts, where they're just borrowing from old Carlos Santana songs, so that single just made me want to hear the original. But, you know, in spite of what I think, like I wasn't a big fan of this shit at all, because it does just sound like that generic, watered-down, popular hip-hop and R&B. I do gotta say, Khaled knows how to put people together and make hits. I mean, this album is probably gonna do really well on the charts. A bunch of these songs are already smash hits, and it does have some talking points. I mean, you got Big Sean on here, who's apparently taking some little shots at Kendrick. He's just warning him that he might get ethered. He knows that he's taking these little pinches, he says, but, you know, he doesn't say his name or anything, so this subliminal war is still going on. But no matter how you look at it, it seems pretty clear that Sean is just standing his ground and talking a bit of shit. So you do have people talking about that. You do have a Nas song that I thought was all right. It's Secured. Nas, of course, is always going to come with some solid flows. But I did think that feature with Travis Scott was a little bit off, so I didn't all out love that one. I did think Good Man by Pusha T and Jadakiss was alright. This one obviously sounds like you expect, just some quality bars from two MCs who are known to bring their best shit. And the beat on this one has a nice little bit of sample work on it. So that was one of my most favorite tracks on here. It does stick out from a lot of these more poppier, generic radio, mainstream, commercial, whatever the hell you want to call them, beats. And it was actually interesting how Fat Joe and Raekwon got on the beat from Jay-Z's song a week ago. Now, their version is called Billy Ocean, and I thought this was kind of cool for what it is. I mean, they really did their best with this beat. But a week ago, in my eyes, is one of Jay-Z's greatest, most classic songs of all time, man. So it doesn't matter how good you are on this beat, it's always going to pale in comparison, and it's just going to make you want to go back and listen to the original. But at the end of the day, I mean, there are a couple of things I like here, but this project is just an hour and a half of generic shit. Like, it really feels like I heard all these songs already. There's not really anything drawing me back into it. And, of course, there is a lot of cheesiness on here, man. That track with Chance the Rapper is just... man, it is just the corniest, cringiest shit, man. Even worse than some of my jokes. And I mean, some of them are cringy and corny as fuck. Even I can admit it. It's even worse than that, especially where they have this little rendition of the alphabet. Oh my God, man, I could have completely done without that shit. So to me, this album is a 2 out of 5. I mean, if you love these hits and you know what you're going to get from Khaled, then by all means, I'm sure you're going to love this. But if you saw this DJ Khaled album drop and you thought, well, here we go again. Another generic, mainstream, commercial bunch of tracks that I'm not going to be able to avoid this summer, and it's going to be hits. I can't deny that it's going to be hits and do well, but personally, I'm not going to like it too much. That's how you feel, then. You're not going to miss anything if you skip it. Now, third on the list is Joyner Lucas's project. I had to write it down because my memory is shit. 508, 507, 2209. I've been a fan of Joyner Lucas for a while because he can definitely rap his ass off. He brings those rapid-fire flows and has a great knack for storytelling. And he does really show all of that on this project. I especially liked on Keep It 100, where he tells a story of how money moves around. It actually reminded me of Apathy's track, The Buck Stops Here. So if you like this one, make sure you check that too. And on the track Forever, he's just struggling with the idea of wanting to get an abortion. So you are going to get some great content on here. He really does go in depth and he raps his ass off, but honestly, there's just something missing here. Like, there wasn't anything too distinct to this project that really excited me. I thought the beats were just kind of bland and blah. There wasn't anything about these beats that stuck out to me or gave me many talking points or even got me out of my seat going crazy. And of course, he is doing some sing-songiness on here since everybody is doing that these days. Now, just like with his rap style, as far as his voice and delivery goes, there wasn't anything too distinct with his singing, so I found that kind of bland, and some of those hooks might turn people off. And another issue I had here is that some of these songs are damn near 7 minutes. A lot of them are 5, 6, or as I said, 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes. There you go. I didn't have to fucking explain it that much. These are just some long-ass songs, is what I'm trying to say, and I really think that sometimes less is more. So this was a really hard project for me to rate because I love his rapping. He's absolutely snapping. He's very great at coming up with creative content, also just different ideas, but I don't know, man, this was just really missing something to me. Like, it's not having me wanting to come back to it. And I think a lot of it has to do with those long-ass songs, some of those hooks. I just think, you know, hopefully when he drops an album, he can condense some of this shit and come up with a sound that's going to stick out a lot more and make me want to come back to it. Because this one, I enjoyed the listen, but it ain't going to be in rotation. So hard to rate, but for me, I'm going to go with a 3 out of 5 because I like to save my 3.5s for projects that I consider honorable mentions. Like, they're not going to make my year-end list, but they might be in the discussion, and I can understand people putting them up there, but this one just isn't that for me. But he is rapping his ass off. I just got to say that a bunch of times and make that clear because his technical skill, his flow, his content and concepts, top notch. Up next, we have Domo Genesis' album, Red Corolla, and this one was really short, very cohesive. It's only about 30 minutes, and goddamn, it is wavy and smooth as fuck. There is a little bit of a concept here, as it's just about him rolling around in his red Corolla with his boys. He's spitting a little bit about where he came from, how he came up in life, and also the rap game. But the content doesn't get so deep on here that you're going to be blown away. I didn't really feel like there was anything with the bars that were too magnificent. But in spite of all that, this really did come together quite well. I like his rap style. It's just so smooth and mellow. Kind of reminds me of Smoke DZA once in a while. And the producers, oh man, we got to give credit to the producers. They did their damn thing on here. I was especially happy to see that High Tech had his name on this one, on the track. Honestly, just want to have a good time. He really came through with some great sample work, and to this day, I think he's underrated as fuck. And Stoney Willis really came through with some shimmering keys on Time Goes By. This is a really dope project if you want something smooth and mellow to just ride around with. If you're a fan of guys like Smoke DZA or even Currency, I think you're definitely going to like this one. And I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. Honestly, it's just very simple, cohesive, short, and sometimes simplicity is just the best thing going. And another short, sweet, and simple project I've been dying to talk about is this Denzel Curry EP called 13. It does have that song, Zeltron 6 Billion on it, which he did drop, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. And that shit is definitely one of my favorite songs so far this year. I just thought him and Lil Ugly Man absolutely ripped it with their flows. They have some very strong vocal performances on there as well. And the production just slaps the sweet fuck. So I love this track. It's a banger. And throughout the rest of this EP, you really are going to get some very dark and eerie production choices, as you would expect from anything Denzel Curry does, because he really does come with that style a lot. And rap-wise, he really is messing around with a lot of different vocal cadences. He's yelling, he's shouting, he's ripping some Lord Infamous-esque flows. So he kept my interest through this whole thing, and I definitely recommend this, even if you're not a hardcore Denzel Curry fan. I just was very happy to hear this, and I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5. I'm not going to go higher because this is just a morsel, but it does have me ready and excited to hear something full from Denzel Curry. And lastly, we have this track from Tyler, the Creator, featuring A$AP Rocky, called Who Dat Boy. Now, Tyler, the Creator is an artist who's very hit and miss for me, especially when it came to Cherry Bomb. I just really wasn't fucking with that one much at all, just the entire album. But I thought this shit right here was a goddamn slapper. You get some heavy bass, a little bit of an eerie sound on it, and both him and A$AP are really killing it with their flows. I mean, I know that sounds like a simple thing to say, but it's true. I just thought they ripped this beat to shreds, and I like that Tyler is going with a bit more of an accessible sound here. There's also this very smooth and somewhat funky vocal outro on the end of it where Tyler is doing some singing, and I hope he expands that into a full track because I would love to hear it. Just sounds incredibly wavy, and hearing that song, the full song, Who Dat Boy, and that little snippet definitely have me ready for some Tyler, the Creator music. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. That's after giving Cherry Bomb, I think, maybe a 2 because I wasn't fucking with it at all, but I like the sound that he's bringing now, so I am excited to see what he does on his next album. And that's that. Another episode of The Rundown is in the books, so leave your comments below with how you feel about these projects and these songs. Now, I do have that Jay-Z review coming up very soon. I'll likely do another episode of The Rundown very soon since there's so much shit out there. And as I said, I don't have a whole lot of time to do a bunch of little short reviews, and put them up all through the week. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for supporting the channel. Do all that social media stuff. You know where I'm at and what to do. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.